Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, in football, timing is everything. A perfectly timed tackle, a run that beats the offside trap, a shot that finds the top corner just as the keeper dives. But what about the timing of a career? Sometimes the final whistle blows far too soon, not at the end of 90 minutes, but on an entire, glittering career. Today we're checking out why these 10 football legends retired very early. We're talking about players who were at the absolute pinnacle of the sport. Players we all thought had years left in them, but for one reason or another, decided to hang up their boots for good. Oh yes, don't forget to like and subscribe. First up, Sergio Aguero, a true Premier League legend. He scored so many crucial goals for Manchester City, but one will forever define him and an entire era of English football. That last gasp winner against QPR in 2012 to seal City's first ever Premier League title. He was a phenomenal goalscorer, City's all-time best. After a glittering decade in Manchester, he made a dream move to Barcelona in 2021, hoping to play alongside his close friend Lionel Messi. Just 5 games into his Barcelona career, during a match against Alaves, he went down clutching his chest. After medical tests, he was diagnosed with a cardiac arrhythmia, a heart condition that made it impossible for him to continue playing professional sport. In a tearful press conference, at just 33 years old, he announced his immediate retirement. It was a devastating and sudden end to a magnificent career, a stark reminder that a player's health is more important than any game. Raphael Varane was a defender who seemed to have been born a winner. He joined Real Madrid as a teenager and quickly established himself as one of the most composed, elegant and intelligent centre-backs in world football. His partnership with Sergio Ramos was the bedrock of a team that achieved the unthinkable, winning 3 consecutive Champions League titles. Add to that a World Cup win with France in 2018, and you have a player who had won pretty much everything there is to win in the game before he'd even turned 26. After a successful spell at Manchester United, he moved to the newly promoted Serie A side Como, a move that surprised a few people but seemed like a nice final chapter. Tragically, it was to be a very short chapter. A serious knee injury sustained early in his time in Italy proved to be the end. At just 31 years old, an age where many defenders are considered to be in their absolute prime, Varane was forced to hang up his boots. It was a sudden and cruel end for a player renowned for his professionalism and consistency. It felt like a career built on perfect timing had been ended by one moment of terrible misfortune. Patrick Kluivert burst onto the scene like a firework. As a teenager, he scored the winning goal for that brilliant young Ajax side in the 1995 Champions League final. He went on to have a fantastic career, especially at Barcelona, where he formed a great partnership with Rivaldo and became a fan favourite. For the Netherlands, he was prolific, becoming his country's all-time leading goalscorer for a time. But after he left Barcelona in 2004 at the age of 28, his career started to drift. He had a decent season at Newcastle, but then moved between clubs, Valencia, PSV, Lille, without ever really settling or recapturing that formidable form. A combination of injuries and perhaps a dip in motivation saw his career wind down much quicker than anyone expected. He eventually retired at the age of 32 after a season in France with Lille. For a player who scored the winner in a Champions League final at 18, to be finished just 14 years later feels like a story that lost its way. This is a story of one of the most explosive, but honestly, tragically brief careers in football history. The name Just Fontaine might not be as universally known as some others on this list, but his achievement at the 1958 World Cup is absolutely legendary. Playing for France, he scored an unbelievable 13 goals in a single tournament. It's a record that has stood for over 60 years and frankly, will probably never be broken. To put that into perspective, the top scorer at a modern World Cup usually gets, 6 or 7? He was a goal machine, pure and simple. He was on track to become one of the all-time greats of the game, a striker mentioned in the same breath as Pelé and Puskas. But fate had other ideas. A recurring leg injury, a double fracture suffered in a league match, proved to be his undoing. Despite attempts to come back, he was forced to retire from the game he loved at just 28 years old. He was just entering his prime as a striker. There are players who change games, and then there are players who change clubs. Eric Cantona changed the entire landscape of English football. When he arrived at Manchester United in 1992, they hadn't won the league title in 26 years. He became the catalyst, the inspiration, the leader for a young team that would go on to dominate the decade. He was a creator of magical moments, the conductor of Sir Alex Ferguson's orchestra. He led United to 4 Premier League titles in 5 seasons, an incredible period of success built around his genius. And then, after securing the last of those titles in 1997, at just 30 years old, at the absolute peak of his powers, he announced his retirement. The football world was stunned, honestly. There was no injury, no major falling out. He simply said he wanted to retire while he was still at the very top. He left a gaping hole at Manchester United and in the Premier League, a void that took years to truly fill. From one midfield maestro to another, but from a very different era, Toni Kroos, a player who made the ridiculously difficult look elegantly simple. His ability to control the tempo of a game was second to none. He was the metronome for one of the most successful Real Madrid sides in history, and for the German national team that won the World Cup in 2014. He played the game with his head up, always seeing the picture 2 or 3 passes ahead of everyone else. He decided to call time on his career at 34, at the end of the 2023-24 season. Now, again, 34 isn't a ridiculous age to retire, but Kroos was different. He had just won La Liga and the Champions League with Real Madrid, playing a pivotal role in both triumphs. He looked as good as ever. There was a genuine feeling that he had at least 2 more top-level years in him. His retirement was confirmed before Euro 2024, which he said would be his final act. Germany's exit in the quarter-finals felt like an anticlimactic end for him. He chose to go out at the top, a decision you have to respect. But for football lovers, it felt like the music had stopped a little too early. When you talk about the most complete and elegant strikers of all time, the name Marco van Basten has to be right at the top of the list. The Dutchman was just sublime, honestly. He scored an astonishing 282 goals in 379 club games for Ajax and AC Milan, and won the Ballon d'Or 3 times. He was the spearhead of that iconic Milan side under Arrigo Sacchi, and later Fabio Capello, a team that dominated European football with a style and swagger that was just breathtaking to watch. His defining moment on the international stage was, of course, the 1988 European Championship. He led the Netherlands to their first and only major international trophy, but his career was cruelly cut short by persistent ankle injuries. The final blow came after a nasty tackle in the 1993 Champions League final. He fought for 2 years to come back, undergoing multiple surgeries, but the pain was just too much. In 1995, at just 31, he was forced to admit defeat. A standing ovation at the San Siro marked his farewell, a heartbreaking end for a player who really should have graced the game for many more years. Michel Platini, what a player, a 3-time Ballon d'Or winner, and he won them consecutively, which tells you everything about his dominance in the mid-80s. A midfield general with an incredible eye for a pass and an uncanny ability to score goals. His performance at the 1984 European Championships on home soil is the stuff of legend. He wasn't just the captain of the winning French team, he was the tournament. He scored 9 goals in just 5 matches, including 2 hat-tricks. It's a record that still stands today and is unlikely to ever be beaten. And then, just 3 years after that incredible triumph at Euro 84, at the age of just 32, he called it a day. He announced his retirement from the game, citing that he no longer felt the passion and joy for playing. For fans around the world, it was a complete shock. He was still playing at an incredibly high level for Juventus, and it felt like he had so much more to give. It left everyone wondering what more he could have achieved. To walk away at 32 as a 3-time Ballon d'Or winner is a decision that speaks volumes about the mental toll of playing at the highest level. Now for a player who was the epitome of grace and elegance, Zinedine Zidane. Zizou retired at 34, which might not sound incredibly early, but believe me, when you watched him play at the 2006 World Cup, you knew he had so much more in the tank. He was playing some of the best football of his entire career, single-handedly dragging France through the tournament. His performances against Spain and Brazil in the knockout stages were masterclasses, pure footballing art. He was dictating the play, gliding past opponents as if they weren't there. It felt like he was destined to lift the trophy one last time. His career ended in one of the most shocking and infamous moments in World Cup history. The final against Italy. Extra time. That headbutt on Marco Materazzi. It was a moment of madness that saw him sent off in his very last professional match. France went on to lose the final on penalties, and Zidane's glorious career ended in a cloud of controversy and defeat. It was such a bizarre and unfitting end for a player who defined an era with his sublime skill and vision. In a strange twist, despite the red card, he was still awarded the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player, a testament to just how magnificent he had been, right up until that final, fateful moment. And finally, a player who was, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most naturally gifted footballers to ever walk the earth, George Best. At the peak of his powers, he was simply untouchable. He had everything: balance, pace, 2 brilliant feet, and a kind of swagger that mesmerized defenders and fans alike. He was instrumental for Manchester United, a key part of that legendary team that lifted the European Cup in 1968. He scored 179 goals for the Red Devils, a phenomenal return for a player who wasn't an out-and-out striker. That same year, 1968, he rightly won the Ballon d'Or. He was the best player on the planet. But as we all know, George's story is a complicated one. His genius on the pitch was often overshadowed by his demons off it. His battle with alcoholism is well documented, a tragic struggle that ultimately cut short his time at the very top. He first walked away from Manchester United and the elite level of football at just 28 years old. Can you imagine that? A player of his caliber, just gone. He did make a few comebacks, playing in various leagues around the world, but he was never quite the same player. His final retirement came 9 years later, but the real loss was that of the player we knew in the 60s. His passing in 2005 was a sad day for football, a reminder of the fragile genius we were so lucky to witness. That's all, everybody. Thank you for watching. So there you have it. 10 incredible players, 10 stories of careers that ended before we were ready to say goodbye. From the tragic tales of injury and illness suffered by Van Basten and Aguero, to the personal choices of Cantona and Kroos to go out on their own terms, it's a testament to their immense talent that even with shortened careers, they all left such an indelible mark on the beautiful game. Which player do you think retired too early? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Oh yes, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you all again very soon for the next one. Take care.